If you got a V-neck and instead of a facing you might like to have a bias band like this, then first of all you've got to cut your bias band. You've got to cut your bias band, and as usual you've got to cut it 45 degrees so it's still a little bit elastic. Now placing it, I start with the shoulder like this. While I'm placing this, I do a little stretching. You can do it as this at the front and stitch it afterwards, but sometimes I feel it's easier if I place it at the back side, because then when I stitch it finally it's done at the right side, and that's where my top stitches are nicest. So first of all I place it. The complicated part is of course here at center front where I got my V as such here. Then I just try to stitch it without any foldings. But let's get going. It's easier to see when I start sewing. So first of all, I have it a little bit longer at neckline, or a shoulder line, sorry. I stitch it 1/2 centimeter, and while I'm stitching I do a tiny little stretching, not too much. And of course you can pin it if you like to, because sometimes that's easier. So you see, now I'm coming to this corner and I keep on. Here it's straight, it's not a problem. Then now I'm nearly there, and of course I need to do this without any foldings at the front. So go down here as close as possible, keep the needle down, stretch it, and just one stitch at a time try to turn it as well. And now I'm going up again, and we're going all the way around. And again, do remember just to stretch it a tiny little bit, otherwise it will stick out when you're finished. It has to be folded into the neckline. Now we're going to get rid of these loose threads. Now I'm coming up here where I started. I'm going to cut this a little bit, fold it like this, and I'm just pinning it to make sure it stays where it's supposed to, because then I can just continue sewing. And this, now I know the length, I can cut that as well and get rid of all the extra, and I just stitch it. And I continue like this, so I got the closure in a way, like this. And of course I'm going to catch my seam again. Now you see, now it's upon the neckline here, and you see here in my shape I do not have any foldings. So when I turn the right side out of it, it's still looking nice. Now it's time to iron, because I need to iron this so it's folded like that. and to make a nice edge. So I'm going to iron it because it's so much easier. Now I have ironed it just a little bit. I have ironed it so it goes down here. And remember, now this is my right side. Then I fold it so it's just going to cover the stitching I got already, like this. When I come to the pointed place here, I still do it like this, but again make sure you're not doing any foldings right here, and still make sure you're covering your seam like that. And this you do all the way. And here where we got this sampling, again make sure it looks nice. And see, I got the loose thread here, that's annoying. I'm going to get rid of that. Like this. Come on. And I've got it here as well. And I see I've got a little thing here. Yeah, there it is. Just like that. And now I have it all the way, as you can see in a second. Now I've got my bias band, and as you can see, it's kind of sticking out here. It's not placed properly, but we'll do that in a second. So first of all, I'm going to top stitch this so we got it in place. I'll actually make my closure so good I hardly could see it. And now I'm stitching in the edge, and all the time I make sure that I'm covering my first stitching so there won't be double stitching here in the edge. So I do it in small pieces, and of course now I'm using a red thread just to show you, but it would look so much nicer if it was the same colour. You see? And it's just do it as if it was a normally bias band you're putting on. Also, when you come to the pointed place at your neckline, so now we're nearly there. And when I go here, of course, again, make sure you're not having any foldings. And the most difficult part could sometimes be to cover your stitch. So please be careful around this spot here. And now this, and now we close it here. And that's it. Now again, loose threads, get rid of it, and we'll just iron this. See, now I ironed it, and it's actually looking, after ironing it, it's actually looking quite okay. Despite for this little thing, it's sticking out, and that's what we're going to fix now. I turn the back side out, place my shoulders upon each other, and fold it like this. Now I'm just going to pin it so it's easier to see what I'm doing. So I keep it here at shoulder, fold it accurately at center front, and you'll see a small part is kind of sticking out. Now we're going to do a small dart here, but only in the bias band. This is to make the right shape. And again, loose threads, get rid of it. And then let's remove our pins to see how it worked. And we're going to turn it around. And what do we have? We actually have a nice wee neckline, and you can iron it afterwards. But in this case you definitely can use a bias bands, even though sometimes people think that's quite complicated. But doing it like this, it's not complicated.